The Porsche 911 is the sports car that does it all. However, if you're looking for a homologated racing car that you could also take out on the roads, you need this. To fully appreciate what the GT badge on the 911 stands for, we need to go back to the first ever 996-911 GT3. What you see here is the facelifted version of the very first GT3, also known by Porsche files as the 996.2 GT3. The naturally aspirated 3.6-litre Metzger engine in this car was heavily based on the racing 962 and GT1 race cars of the time and produced 381 horsepower. Because it's a 911 from the late 90s, you'll need to adapt your driving style to work around the understeer. However, get it right and it's super rewarding to drive at the limit. We're jumping into the pinnacle of analog GT3 RS models now with the 997 4-litre RS. The last ever RS to have a hydraulic steering rack and most importantly a manual gearbox. Considered by many to be Porsche's finest achievement and some say the finest ever 911. Sadly, not many of us will ever get to see one of these as only 600 units were ever produced, but I'm glad to say that it's one of my evergreen favourite car mods for Assetto Corsa. We rev into the modern era now with this 991 RS. If you have the Porsche Pack DLC with Assetto Corsa, you'll get the 991.1 version of this car, which is one of my all-time favorite cars in Assetto Corsa. But what I want to show you guys now is this .2 version in the Manthey Racing spec. Manthey basically makes the hardcore RS models, well, even more hardcore. From the magnesium wheels with carbon aero discs to the reworked aerodynamics and the tuned suspension, the Manthey Racing version means serious business. In real life, the Manthey Racing car's 6-minute and 49-second lap time of the Nordschleifer is almost 7 seconds quicker than the regular RS. That's a nice target lap time to aim for when you're trying out this car. And finally, we have here the 992 GT3 RS. This has got to be one of the most ferocious looking production cars of all time. Power is slightly improved from the previous generation RS with the 4-litre boxer producing 518 horsepower, but the star of the show this time round is the aerodynamics. The swan neck rear wing is just a work of art, and you see these blades here on the top of the roof? They actually serve a purpose, which is to direct hot air from the front mounted radiator away from the engine intake and towards that gigantic rear wing. By doing so, you get cooler air going to the engine and cooler air equals more power. All the aerodynamic features on this car allow the 992 RS to achieve double the downforce compared to the 991.2 RS. But what I truly love about this mod is that it includes the regular RS model, a Weissach version, and a Weissach street build that has more horsepower and some aftermarket bits. There's no doubt that this is the most insane and aggressive version of the 911 ever built, and it's an absolute joy to throw this car around, and I even find myself taking time to check out the external details of this car, which is something I don't normally do. But hey, you guys already know I love my Porsches.